Today, May 28th, May 28th, 2023. This is Lay the Points episode for today. Um, we won yesterday. Shohei got 10 Ks and about 8 million pitches or whatever he had. Pretty good outing for him, besides the loss, but he pitched well. Yeah, it was plus 100 bet, over 7.5 Ks. Good, it was a good bet. It was it was an easy bet, I'll say. I know there's winning the bets isn't always easy, but there's times that it's easy to put your money behind something and times that it's not. And yesterday was an easy one. So, yeah, it was good. I'm going to jump into today's bet really quick, and then we're going to talk about the NBA, the stuff happened last night. But today's bet, we're going to go to the Washington Nationals, guys. They're pitching Mackenzie Gore versus the Kansas City Royals, which are terrible. And the Royals are 7-21 at home or some crazy thing like that. They're terrible. They're absolutely awful at home. They've lost the first two games to the Washington Nationals. But this Lynch guy pitching for Kansas City, he has no statistics. He hasn't pitched. Normally, if you're the Mets star or the Yankees prospect, it's not so hard to get behind you. But I'm not going to believe in this Kansas City guy coming in, whoever he is. I don't really know anything about him, even as a prospect. So I'm under the impression he's going to get beat up a lot in this game. And, you're getting the Washington Nationals or Kansas City at minus 110 here. Washington's the better baseball team, and you're getting them at minus 110 versus a Kansas City team that they're all playing individually. They're trying to play to jack their stats up to move on to somewhere else. The Kansas City Royals are not trying to win. They're just a farm club. I don't see Washington losing this game versus a solid pitcher in Gore. Mackenzie Gore's a good pitcher. He doesn't always get run support that hurts him, but he's definitely good enough to get through the Kansas City lineup, and also because he's probably going to be playing from a lead. So that's what we like today. Washington Nationals minus 110 on the money line. It's a good solid play. I think this kid that's pitching for Kansas City, he's probably not going to do great. It's never, as far as I can tell, he's never thrown a pro pitch. So, again, here we go. That's where we're at. Washington Nationals money line minus 110. All right, and then let's go to this NBA stuff that happened last night. Okay, so first thing I want to say is what an amazing finish in that game. That was a crazy finish. Second thing I want to say is everything I bet on in that game won. I actually took Miami plus 2.5. I took Miami on a teaser, and I teased it with the over in that game. It barely got the over. And I had Jimmy Butler for a double-double, and I had Caleb Martin to get over 12.5 points. The Jimmy Butler double-double was tricky. He eventually got there. I think Caleb Martin had his in the first half, so that was nice. Caleb Martin's been a really easy bet to be making. We've been making it. When I say we, I mean the guys that purchased my package. We've been betting on Caleb Martin a lot. It's been pretty profitable. We got hooked one time. We lost by a hook once. But other than that, it's been really, really profitable betting on him. And I imagine it will in the next game. He just gets a lot of the secondary points, right? When the drive happens and there's nowhere to go, he gets it kicked out to him and he makes a lot of shots. So Caleb Martin's a good bet. And usually his scoring total, his points will be between, like yesterday it was 12.5. I couldn't believe that, but we took it. It was 12.5 juiced up, but at 12.5 it was too easy. But usually it's about 14 or 15, which is still okay. He's going to get that. He's going to get those points. But anyways, the game itself, I want to talk about the game itself. So I'm not saying the officiating was for one side or the other. But the officiating was terrible in the game. It was inconsistent. Like at points in the game, they would let them play. And then at points in the game, every little touch foul was a foul. Like, I'm not saying that referees aren't inconsistent anyway, but this one was oddly inconsistent. So much so that I kind of thought they were pushing it Boston's way. But then at times, like in the third quarter, Miami was in the bonus for basically the whole third quarter and shooting free throws every time Boston touched them. And then in the fourth quarter, it seemed like Miami couldn't touch Boston, but Boston could just mangle them every time they got down by the rim until the last 3 minutes. And then it was touch foul after touch foul after touch foul going against Boston. And so what I think happens in these situations, especially in these playoff spots, where crews get switched around and people earn these playoff games by how well they officiate. Some guys are tight, some guys are loose, and when you put them on a crew where you can't have tight and loose guys on a crew, because then you're having it officiated one way in one spot and another way in another spot. And make no difference, guys, the officiating is not even consistent throughout. Everyone that blows a whistle blows it differently. They see things differently, especially contested type fouls, some body bump fouls. Like a lot of this stuff is so vastly different from one official to the next. You kind of got to put like-minded officials together. And I think that's what happens in these situations when we see really crazy inconsistencies. Because I'm not going to go out there on the limb and say that they were trying to push the game one way or another, because at the end it looked like they were trying to get Miami to get through, and Miami did get through. This is what's crazy is Miami had the worst start for Butler ever, and still ended up at the end of the game in his hands. He made some plays, and Miami has this lead, and this miracle kind of sequence of events where Smart gets a good shot off. It actually went halfway down, and then it just happens to come off the rim perfectly for White to get a little tip in, and the game goes that way. And I'm not taking nothing away from Boston, man. They were really good. Besides from the 3-point line, they did everything else really well in the game, and their stars showed up. Where for 3.5 quarters, Jimmy Butler didn't show up, and Bam Adebayo, he wasn't a scoring machine, but he showed up in other ways. He actually did. He showed up from an energy, offensive rebounding. He did his thing without having to put a bunch of points in. If it wasn't for Caleb Martin and Robinson, Miami would never even been in that game. So shout out to those guys, man. Caleb Martin has turned into quite the player. So, but I just, the game was so choppily officiated that it had no flow to it, and it made it it seemed very chunky, almost like it was directed. And I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that's the way it felt. I'm not claiming that it was rigged or something. I'm not, because I don't really believe that so much about sports as other people do. But it was definitely very chunky. And what I mean by that is it would have spurts of flow, and then all of a sudden it would be slowed way down, and 3 minutes would take 40 real-time minutes, 3 minutes on the clock. It'd take 40 real-time minutes, and when you do that to the basketball game, it really ruins it for the viewership of it. Again, it ended in a normal fashion around normal scores, 107 or whatever it was. 107 to 105 or something. I can't remember what it was. 106 103. So I don't remember the exact score, but whatever, it was a 1-point game, right? So whatever it was, it was crazy though. It was a crazy ending, and also just the shots that Duncan Robinson made at the end. Now, also the shots that he missed. So he made them ridiculous shots that he made, and then wide open twice. I'm talking one time he had enough time to take a dribble and reset and misses. And then another one in transition, just misses. It was crazy, because he makes either of those and the game is over. I mean, he makes either of those and that's it, because they would have been such daggers. But he missed, which I was shocked when he missed the one where he took the dribble. I was like, that's a practice three, and this is one of the better three-pointer shooters in the game. I was just like, wow, what a miss. I think there might have been a little nerves there. Jimmy Butler gets up and strokes 3 free throws at the end of the game. That was big time there. Just an odd loss for Miami. I actually think it probably cost Miami the series. Um, Going back to Boston, I feel like Boston will feel like they have new life, and Miami has to feel like it was taken from them. So I don't know. I actually kind of think Boston gets this done and is the first team to go down 0-3 and win. Um, just because I think Miami had the opportunity there, and somehow Boston miracled up and got that tip in. So I don't know. I don't think Miami goes to Boston and beats them. I just don't. I think we see a really good performance in that next game from Tatum. I think he probably tries to go for 50 again. And I don't know. I just think Miami, obviously, you go up 3-0, you should win. You should win one more. But they did some things. They lack of intensity, I think, in games 4 and 5 hurt them. Last night, the intensity was there. They were trying. It just wasn't falling for Jimmy early. Any of those buckets early fall for Jimmy, any of them. Game. It's crazy when it's a 1-point game. That tip-in never matters. Any basket, any free throw, anything that didn't go down. Now, you can say the same thing for Boston. If any of them other shots happen, we're never talking about the other way. So, but anyways, it's an odd occurrence. And I just thought the officiating was it was atrocious. That was the worst playoff game I've seen this year. And not from, I'm not indicating that they were leaning one way or the other. I'm saying that for both sides, it was terrible and both sides benefited at times. But the overall was so inconsistent that it kind of messed the game up. But anyways, that's what I got for today. Back to the bet of the day, Washington Nationals on the money line, -110. I think they got a pretty reasonable shot to win this one. Like I said, last night we won with Shohei at even money. Got to love Shohei. Yeah, probably the MVP as long as Angels can stay in contention. I would say he's probably the MVP. But anyways, thank you guys for your time. This is Jacob from Wager Me This. You guys have a great day. And happy Memorial Day tomorrow. And Memorial Day weekend. I'm sure, like I said, some of you guys are probably doing the camping thing and all that. I'm at work. Y'all have a great day.